Hi guys, and welcome to our stream. Is it Lewis? You're not appearing on my screen for some reason. Oh, there
There
you
I
are.
am.
There you are. How are you? You all right?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I've recovered. Well, I am recovered. I've been ill all week, and I
Oh
thought it was
no.
food poisoning off a dodgy takeaway. But now I'm thinking it might have been COVID. Like I literally haven't got out of bed. I've been working from bed, just like sending
Mm.
emails like this. But you know when you. But then I've been speaking to a few clients this morning. And like one client's based in Thailand, and like half the workforce are off ill. But like I've never
Oh
noticed it. I've never noticed like anything going around. But yeah, honestly, I was the
no.
worst at being.
Oh no. To be fair, I think there's a lot of COVID again going around by me. So it must just
Is there?
be. I don't know. Yeah. So my sister she's been quite ill. She hasn't had COVID, but she's had tonsillitis for like 2 weeks. So there's like
Mm.
something going round. I don't know if this is the change of the weather or what. But I know some people don't think change of the
Mm.
weather affects you, but I don't know. But yeah.
I
Oh,
know,
bless
and I'm
you.
I'm in the north of England where it's freezing all year round. Like we don't get the luxury of a change of the weather. How are you anyway? How's your week been?
Yeah. It's been good. It's been good. I'm actually going away tomorrow. I'm going to Poland, so I've got a lovely long
Oh,
weekend. I'm excited.
that's wicked. Where you going?
Krakow.
Oh God,
Mm.
so cheap.
I know. I've never been. So I'm going with my boyfriend. We were supposed to go just before COVID hit in when was it 2020 or something. Literally the day we were supposed to go, we went into lockdown. So it's been a couple of years in the making. But so yeah, we're excited.
Oh well, at least you can quickly get your work done, get packed, and get off the airport. Long weekend as well,
Exactly.
innit? I think we've got a
Hmm.
long weekend every week in May.
Pretty much, I
Uh,
think is this week, next week, and the end of May. I think, isn't it? I think we only have like two
is it
full weeks.
three?
Crazy,
Ideal
which
that.
is nice. I know.
Well, anyway, I will just go through the standard stuff. So, like and subscribe. We've got loads and loads of exciting live streams coming up. Which you'll probably already be advertising our YouTubes and that type of thing. But worth liking and subscribing anyway for anything coming up. And there's a load of good stuff historically on there. So definitely get on that. Today's stream, I'm by myself on this one because Jack's living it up in Vegas. He's in Vegas. He's just come back actually. Lucky
Nice.
yeah, well, what he does, he's part of like a little call of punters club where him and all his mates put like 20 quid a week in, and someone gets to put the bet of for the football on. Anyway, last year they won like a fortune, and it paid for them all to go to Vegas. So and they've been there for a week
Oh,
as well. It's not just
nice.
like a couple of days. Um, so he's left this with me to pull together frantically on me deathbed like this. But yeah, so today is about how to tweak your digital PR efforts to go international. And then later on, it's a short stream, but some really useful tips in here. And how we've built links on kind of China's major newspapers, France's biggest, all that type of thing. And then later on, Lewis has got some wicked domain teardowns again, which is definitely worth sticking around for. So without further ado, I will whip through this. And if anyone's got any questions in the comments, bar you, Jordan, because you'll just heckle us. Um, Feel free to drop them in and we'll pick them up as we go through the slides. So, how to create an idea that can be tweaked to go international. Now, this sounds a lot easier than it actually is. And there's a few different verticals you've got to look at before you create a campaign to go international. First of all, work out if you're going international first is the main one. And if you are, you need to make sure that the current trend that you're trying to tap into is applicable worldwide. For example, if we're going to be talking about, I don't know, the food prices in the UK, is that the same in, you know, Italy and Germany? And is it a worldwide issue? If it is, great. If it's not going to work. You know, you're pitching blind then. So that's the first thing to determine. If you are going UK first, making sure the data is scalable and evergreen. The reason I would say this is if you don't have evergreen data, by the time that it takes to go to take that data set and replicate it across all the countries, the data is probably going to be out of date. So you need to make sure that when you have the data you're including in your pitch or whatever angle you're including in your pitch or your campaign, it can last the test of time. and that's just so you can keep this campaign ongoing. Got to remember when you're pitching internationally, there's a lot more kind of scope and amount of journalists you can target. So make sure it's evergreen and make sure it's scalable. You know, if we're going, I've got a couple of slides later on talking about making sure you target cities, not countries. You know, if you're pitching to I don't know, Le Monde in France or Le Figaro or one of them. They're going to want city specific data, not just where France ranks. Um, but to make it scalable, if you go in UK first, do the cities in the UK. But then if that's starting to work, go cities internationally. And then if that's working even more, go country specific. You know, just think about ways how we can add and adapt and scale the idea and the data. But definitely the main one if you are going international for campaigns is it tapping into anything internationally? Um, Actually, there's another one on the next slide here. So how you can validate it as well. Um, does it make sense across a few geos? You need to be really careful with international campaigns, especially if it's about finance or anything like that, to make sure that you are kind of tapping into what's happening in their country, not just saying this is what's happening in the UK. We've got some data for you. You need to explain what you means and how our campaign can actually help your readers, or that type of thing. Um, so a good way of finding out if it does work, which is what I've found quite a bit, especially works in US and Canada and Australia, English speaking kind of national nations, is pre-pitching. So if you've got a few kind of key contacts, or even if you don't have key contacts, but you've got a really good idea, pick a batch of journalists out and pitch the idea at them first and say, look, we're thinking about doing this. We know you're a trusted journalist in your, I don't know, crypto niche or gaming niche, whatever it might be. What do you think of this idea? I'd really be happy if you could provide some feedback on it. It's only going to help us PRs, and link builders in time and all that type of stuff. But validating your idea definitely works more internationally than it does maybe in the UK, probably because there's so many job cuts to journalists in the UK and that type of thing that I haven't really got time to be clarting around, helping out. They just need to get the stories done and out, such as the time that they've got to do stuff. So definitely pre-pitching, that works. And have you included everything? Making sure that you're tapping into city-specific data, into industry-specific data. Is the data legit? Even more importantly, and all that type of thing that is really important. One other thing that works internationally, probably more so international than UK. Sometimes a written article is much better internationally than in the UK. Like historically, we've struggled to get tier one coverage for articles as such in the UK because they like to write their own stuff. But sometimes over, especially in Belgium, France, Germany, Holland, they were four that the articles tend to work quite well. But obviously that then poses another issue. Um, which is in how to deploy the campaign. So I brought this down a little bit different how I usually do. But how are you targeting? Why are you targeting? So this is a really important part. And I've done outreach in France, Germany. I've even done Mandarin outreach where I get kind of translation services in to help with that for Rafa racing and that type of thing. Consider translating your outreach. Don't use Google Translate because it comes back with a load of absolute tosh. Basically just mixes up your words and all that type of thing. It's sometimes you can get away with it for a pitch if you're just explaining what the data is. But if it's in a press release or anything like that, you're totally screwed because they'll look at it and say, well, that's not written well enough for our language, and just discount it. But definitely worth translating the outreach. I'm not saying don't use UK English, sorry, because English language still works the best. But what we did find across different geos um, was if you translated some a little bit, even if you include both pictures, like in one pitch, I would include, hi, this is the client, this is the idea, let us know if you're using it, dots, and then the same pitch in French, German. So they've got two, if they're not English speaking, they can read their language equivalent. Um, I haven't tested this yet, but ChatGPT might be able to help with this. I don't know how good the translation services is on ChatGPT, but definitely to help with the international pitches, it might not be a bad shout having a look into that. So that's a good one. Um, Time zones, super important again. So what I do, especially because most of our clients are US based anyway, is I don't tend to pitch until about 3 o'clock because they're just waking up in US and you always want to be at the top of a journalist's inbox, not all the way at the bottom. So if I'd pitched a US campaign at 9 o'clock this morning UK time, and it's what 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning their time, by the time they wake up, your email's all the way at the bottom and they've picked three stories ahead of you. Um, so definitely consider time zones, and that's where it's useful to use kind of different platforms. We use BuzzStream, where you can schedule the outreach, where you can say, right, well, I want this campaign to go out at this time on this day, um, and that's super important as well. And in terms of kind of time zones as well, figuring out when works best for different industries. So, for example, I was speaking to one of my contacts who I work with all the time from the Express, just this week. I find it really interesting. The food and lifestyle kind of campaigns seem to fly out on Fridays and Saturdays. So she's always asking us for like recipes from my clients on a Friday, which is really strange. And then anything more like B2B or finance or crypto or tech, anything like that, your Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays are the big ones, especially Tuesdays and Wednesdays, really. Some journalists work part time, so they'll only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So just considering all this, there's loads of information online if you wanted to have a look at when's the best time to pitch, or if anyone wants to ask me questions separately, I've got a bit of a guide that we use internally on it. So definitely worth looking into that. And different social media, I've been banging on in all of our streams about using social media for outreach. I mean, my voucher codes have just got in touch about 10 minutes ago, wanting something. Had the Independent, we've had all kinds over this last couple of days. Express, my contact, and there just reaches out via DMs on Twitter. You can build relationships via social media now. So it's super important. One really interesting thing about social media for international campaigns is to use different social medias. So for example, there isn't as many US journalists on Twitter as there is UK, but there's a lot of US journalists on LinkedIn. It's definitely worth, if you can find them, maybe just adding them and trying to connect with them and sliding in the DMs on LinkedIn or anything like that. Because building relationships on social media is going to be key in digital PR, I think. Um, Especially because another contact we've got, the Express Bex, was telling us that they actually get targeted now on how many social shares they get and how active they are on social and all that type of thing. So you'll see journalists using Twitter a lot more and Facebook a lot more, LinkedIn a lot more, that type of thing on kind of business accounts. So definitely use social media for pitching. Um, Here's a good question from Luke, actually. Any quick tips for people looking for journalists on social media? I just do it the simple way where if I pull my list together based on this journalist has wrote about this topic before, and that's a key target for where we're going after, just searching them on Google, like Luke Morgan, Twitter, and see you're a journalist from the Daily Mail or something like that, like you would come up top. So that's a good way. A really good way, a free way of finding email addresses from that Twitter platform is a tool called allmytweets.net. And what you do, it's quite scary actually. What you do is you put your username in. So say I was looking for you, Luke, I put at Luke Morgan, DPR, or whatever your journalist Twitter handle is. And you can, if it's an open profile, you can click on tweets and just control F and search for like email me or at signs or anything like that. And it'll basically in one HTML view on your computer pull a list of all of your 5,000 tweets in. And somewhere in there, you might have reached out. You might have reached out to another digital PR agency that's saying, "Oh, this sounds really good. Email me at." There's your email. So that's a good way of finding journalist emails from the tweets if it's not apparent or they're not in a, in a major database or anything like that. But definitely just searching them on Google works tends to work the best. Um, so why are you targeting again? Just tying back into that, does it does it solve a problem in the country? Is it useful in the country? Is it news in the country? You'll hear us talking about that quite a bit. It happens too often where we see campaigns getting launched with a kind of singular focus, and we don't think of the bigger picture and how we can scale that to go internationally. That idea is brilliant, but will it work in Russia or Poland or wherever it might be. Um, so yeah, that's how to deploy, but definitely translated outreach, different time zones and social media is gonna be really useful here. So again, is the idea universal? I've put this one in the last deck, and I thought I would just keep it in for the sake of the fact that it was universal. Everyone eats pizza, so you can take a pizza campaign and replicate it across the globe pretty much. Um, Whereas not everyone eats. I don't know what do we eat? That's ridiculous. Like I have something called peas pudding up here in Sunderland that no one even in the UK eats. So, like, that's not gonna work in the UK and never mind internationally. So, again, just thinking about that bigger picture. Yes, it might be a standard kind of idea and not super niche, um, but your chances of getting picked up's higher because you can scale it a lot more. So, definitely worth just having a look to see if the idea is a universal one. Again, pitching international campaign tips. So, focusing on cities, not countries. This is massive. Um, and you're not going to want to includes just one city either. You're gonna want to include them all if you're going super big. Depends what your resources like, time-wise or budget-wise for whoever's doing it. But if you want to be pitching cities, you want to be pitching the top 30 French cities against each other, not just how Paris compares to London. Seeing that, we did take the top, I think it was like 100 capital cities in the world and launched a campaign for Puma, where Puma's EU campaign about where the best cities to run in were, and actually that did still work. We still got over 150 links from it across Le Monde, Build, some massive ones, Stylus, Vanity Fair, all that type of stuff. So it can work. My preference would just to be beefed out. I mean, that campaign would still have worked if you'd gone big, but you'd probably gone a little bit got a bit more in terms of coverage. Personalised pitching versus Nevis City, almost causing a rivalry. Like I said, Le Mans, they're going to want to cover the top 30 French cities, not just how Paris ranks. So if you can cause that little bit of rivalry, say how your city rank type clickbait headline, then that works. Following up, again, I'll talk further on about patience. Um, in this kind of game, but following up and sometimes in a different language. Super polite. I think journalists are a lot more. Sometimes you'll get some snotty replies from journalists if you don't try and pitch in their language. We've had it in the past, especially the French are pretty frosty in the reply, shall we say. But sometimes following up in a different language, just saying like hi, name, appreciate the below might not have been in your kind of language. So here's the pitch in French and German to see if it's of interest. Again, even if it doesn't work, I think just spending a little bit more time creating that translated pitch, the journalists are going to remember that. And they're going to remember that you've gone out of your way to try and help them in their job, basically creating stories. So um, definitely worth following up in a different language. So we've had quite a bit of success, and this is just in the last few months, really, across every single country pretty much. So we've had Wales Online, we've had South China Morning Post, we've had Live Mint, which is India's biggest newspaper. We've had Cosmopolitan, which we've had in Denmark and Italy, I believe. Yahoo News, which goes across Spain and all that. And the list goes on and on and on. And that's just because we've taken an angle and replicated it in different countries. Historically, I've worked across the likes of QuickBooks in South Africa and New Zealand, Rafa Reyerson in Mandarin. So South China Post was a good one for that. Ralph Lauren was France and Germany. And you can take any idea and replicate it. International outreach is harder, but if you get it right, it's much more fruitful. You're much more likely to get mass coverage. Because once that ball starts rolling internationally, there's a lot more snow for an international campaign. So it's just going to keep rolling rather than the UK where it can just stop, or the US where it can just stop at any point because you haven't broadened it. So be personable. Don't hound the international journalists. Remember, a lot of the time they can't speak the same language as fluently as you can. Um, give them a bit more time. What I would suggest is making follow-ups a little bit longer. Um, they might be struggling to understand what the idea is as much. They might not be used to being pitched to as much. So definitely don't hound them. Give them chance to look over it. Be very careful with wording, especially when translating. Had some horror stories about this. For example, we used to work with a client called Van Monster here in the UK, and we went to pitch a German campaign, but Van Monster means the monster, so it looked a bit rubbish in German. So definitely be very careful when you're wording, um, especially when you're translating. We also did a Ralph Lauren campaign, and oh no, it was for a company called Acorn Stairlifts, and we were launching this campaign about curved stairs, it being like a massive interior design kind of boom in the UK. Luckily, we had a German lad who worked with us, and he turned around and says, "You do know the curved stairs aren't a thing in Germany." So we're like, "Well, we've done all this work to push a campaign that didn't work anyway because it wasn't even there." So definitely be careful with wording and kind of topic. Connecting on socials again, I mentioned that above, making sure that you're looking in all the different areas to try and build some relationships internationally. International relationship building is super important, like I mentioned. Be patient. So much longer lead time internationally, I've found, might differ from other people's experiences, but mine definitely it's definitely a longer lead time. Um, you may have to chase for the link. They're not as understanding sometimes into what a link is. You've got to remember the UK, US, Canada, Australia, that type of thing. We're slightly ahead of the game in terms of SEO and PR and all that, in a smaller nation where they're not getting pitched to as frequently, they don't really have big digital PR agencies or anything like that, or mass journalists. They might not really understand why you're giving them a link and that type of stuff. I found that a lot. So you may have to chase for it. And another thing that we found that again differs to the UK. UK journalists like to have an exclusive, so they like to write the article before you put it on your website or before they publish it in print or anything like that. But we've definitely found internationally that sometimes it goes in different media outlets first. So we launched a campaign for a jewelry company over in the US, and that went on mass radio stations and TV before it actually went online. So definitely worth checking to see if it goes in different media first. You can do this a few ways as well. We use Press Reader, which is pretty good for checking if you've got online coverage. You just basically search your name, or your brand, or your service, or your business, or your stakeholders, whatever it is, and it'll just pull up some kind of screenshots of what it looked like in print. But yeah, definitely worth checking to see if it goes in different media first. And that might be why there's a longer lead time, to be honest. So, final slide. This one's been a super quick one, done in half an hour. Usually we're about 45 minutes. So, top tips. You must be able to be scaled the data and the idea, and your media list while I'm at it. A must tie into something worldwide, and must be broken down by city. You must build a strong major list, and it must be able to be pushed internationally. And that's the key takeaway for me. If I was kind of to pinpoint that one thing, yes, that's a great idea, but it means nothing to the people of Portugal. Um, that's the kind of mindset you need when you're thinking about that. But yeah, that's me done. If anyone's got any questions, just drop them in. Just drop them in here. But yeah, Lewis, are you all right sharing your screen on the next one? Or do you want me to click through it?
If you could click through it, that would be awesome. Please. Thank you. That was really
Yes.
interesting. I enjoyed.
It's well, I kept mentioning Poland just because you've just told
I
us to go to Poland. Don't let
know.
us kid you, everyone. I've not outreached in Poland. That's one country I haven't done. I kept dropping it in because it was at the top of my head.
Maybe give it a go. See how it happens. See what
No, but
happens.
do you know what? The language is so tough to. I can
Yeah.
imagine it's really, really, tough.
It's a lot
Which,
like
like I say,
Russian, I think, isn't it? It's like symbols and all stuff like that, isn't it? Rather than like
Mm,
Spanish or Italian, you can sort of figure out the words, but if the translation is wrong in Polish or Russian or wherever, you're screwed because you
exactly.
have no idea what it actually says.
I know. Honestly, when we did Mandarin, I mean, they're massive. They're called Rafa Racing. It's like cycling equipment and jerseys. They're massive. They're
Mm.
on the Tour de France and all that type of thing. And when they came to us wanting Mandarin, it was about a big event that they were launching, like a PR push. And oh my God, I had no idea what I was doing. We just
Oh my
we just
god.
got a big translation agency, and even then we
Mm.
struggled because it's hard to get kind of Mandarin
Yeah.
experts and
Yeah. It's a
yeah.
hard language. But
Well,
there
I
you go.
find English hard, Lewis. I'm from the northeast of England. So
You're just fluent in Northern English.
can you speak Welsh?
Ish. I'm not
Yeah.
fluent. We have Welsh schools in Wales, obviously, but not all schools like are Welsh. So I went to just like a normal comprehensive school. So we
Mm.
learnt Welsh, but like we didn't actually speak it like day to day and stuff. And like my family don't really speak Welsh and things. But I'm learning a little bit now. Me and my boyfriend are both learning. He's way better than me. But yeah, it's a good language. It's quite hard. That one is quite hard to learn because there's like loads of different abbreviations and accents and all stuff like that. So it's quite hard to learn, but it's fun. I do wish I was fluent. I wish I took it a bit more seriously when I was in school. But when
No,
you're
I
like
used to
15, you're like, no.
for like 3 years or something. I lived pretty much on the border of Wales in a place called Shrewsbury, and
Oh, nice.
honestly, like for me, the total like oblivious to the whole. I knew there was a Welsh language, but I hadn't actually really seen it or heard it as much.
Mm.
So when I moved down there, and then like you go 3 miles to the west, and then all the road signs are in Welsh, and I've
Yeah,
got no idea what any of
yeah.
them are saying. But yeah, that was an experience. But you'll have to teach us
Yeah.
some of your Welsh
I know.
for the next
I'll
Welsh
have to
campaign.
think. I'll have to think of like a sentence or something for the next time we're on and tell you or something.
Mm.
But
I
yeah.
don't know. Gary's just messaged saying, "Are you monitoring these comments?" Yes, we are, but I haven't seen any more coming in. So, Gary, if you do have any, we've seen yours now. Um, feel free to ping a message in, and we'll pick it up as we go. But no, do you want me to flick through?
Yes, please.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay, so today we have two domains as we normally do. One is in the food niche and one is in the beer brewer niche. So two slightly different but really cool niches. So the first one we have Riley's Ribcage, 7 years old, 197 referring domains and a DR21. Look again, next slide, please.
2 seconds. I've had a freeze. There we go.
Technical difficulties.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's all right. So domain was created back in 2017. And this was really to advertise the actual physical restaurant based in New Jersey, Riley's Ribcage, specialized in meats, lunches, your smoked meat, your grilled, all stuff like that, signature sides. And they also offered private catering events. So really, really cool physical restaurant that they did have. And then this is what it looked like back when the site was live. As you can see here, just pretty your basic website, just really focusing on local advertising or stuff like that. The food and drinks, catering, they like gift cards, loyalty schemes, all stuff like that. So yeah, really interesting. So backlink profile, 197 referring domains. Really nice referring domains here. So we've got nymonthly.com. They were based in New Jersey. Really good authoritative and local backlink there. We have phillyburbs.com, DR73. Not, well, a bit further away from Philadelphia, but on the same coast, I suppose. So another one, healthandlifemags.com, thedigestonline.com, boozyburbs.com. And then you have your Southern Pride as well. So lots of different authoritative, niche relevant and local backlink profiles here as well. So that's awesome. And then the anchor text profile as well. So again, with these, what we like to do every week is double check that the anchor text profile is what we like to think as natural. So by that we mean we look at the anchors that just flow within the content of the site. So as this one was just to promote the physical restaurant in New Jersey, we're really looking at your branded anchor text. So as you can see right at the top, you have rileysribcage.com, Riley's Ribcage, Riley's Ribcage, www.rileysribcage.com. So that's exactly what we like to see when we look at an age domain, especially one that was a physical space. So this just really goes to show that any type of backlinks or anything like that, completely natural, and within the content and the context of the actual site. We don't really want to be looking at any other ones that might be, I don't know, something to do with gardening or whatever, completely different. As well with the best by links, we always like to look at the best by links going straight to the homepage. The referring domains all go to these just purely because this is the most powerful page on the site. We don't really want it going to, I don't know, just a random recipe site or contact us or whatever. The homepage is key, and that's exactly what we are seeing in this one. And then, so our strategy for this one, really simple. You've got your how-to guides, how to smoke all different types of meats, how to grill different types of meat, how to clean your smoker, how to store your meat, how to trim and separate your brisket, all stuff like that. You've got your recipes, your types of smokers, types of grills, and then your timing and temperatures as well for your different dishes that you're either going to smoke or grill. So we have our first competitor of the day. So this is grillonadime.com, DR17, so slightly lower than us, and 35.4k of organic monthly traffic, 339 pages. So we would really be looking at a competitor like this for tomb raiding. So what we look at when we look at tomb raiding a competitor, we look at the content that they're doing, and we basically try and use the same strategy, whatever, the same articles and stuff that they're doing, and just make it a little bit better, a little more optimized, just so we rank a little bit higher than they do. So as you can see here, the top keywords and stuff like that, exactly the type of stuff that we're going to be looking at as well. So really awesome competitor to take into account when we do start the strategy for this one. And then we have our biggie. We have smokedbarbecuesauce.com, DR56, 342k of organic traffic per month. And this has 699 pages of content. So this really is a great example of the opportunities that are available within this niche. It is double the amount of content that the other site had, but exactly the type of stuff that you really want to be aiming to build and develop within your age domain. So again, they've got that higher DR, incredible amount of traffic per month. This is organic traffic, so you're really looking at getting as much as you possibly can organically. So again, really awesome competitors to look at. So what makes these competitors stand out? So if you go on to some competitor sites and all things like that, you do really get a grasp of what makes these stand out to other websites and stuff. So with these ones, own imagery is really important. Really helps with your Google Eat as well, that we talk about here all the time. They have links to their own shop. So within this niche, they have you can get rubs, sauces, barbecue tools, all stuff like that. So linking some sort of shop or Amazon affiliate or whatever really helps them stand out. They have subscription prompts all over the site. You log on and you go onto the site, and bang, you're popping up with wanting to sign up for a newsletter. So all different stuff like that really helps the interaction. The frequent content is always updated. The latest articles are always been updated on the homepage, and they also have their own cookbook as well. So really awesome things that just makes them slightly more unique to the rest of them, and something that you could definitely implement within the Sage domain as well. So again, revenue opportunities, really simple to implement. We basically want to try and compete with the competitors. So we look at the type of stuff that is making them stand out, and we try and do the same. Obviously, it's going to take time with an age domain. We're really building up that trust and authority again. But with the strategy that we put in place we really zone in on trying to get these revenue opportunities for you. So that's by diversifying your income. So display ads, affiliate programs, newsletters, cookbooks, products, tools, all stuff like that that you can use for helping with recipes, your smokers, your grillers, all that type of stuff. And then that really helps then link in to diversify your traffic. So you've got your Google, your socials, always link your socials to a site. Really important to create those social pages. Emails, so your newsletters, weekly emails and stuff out to people. Just really building a community within this niche. Again, EAT optimization. We talk about this all the time if you're here every week. So important to help really rank on Google these days. And by doing that, you can get your frequent content as well as your link building included as well. So what that really helps with your content and your link building, you're really getting those domain ratings up as well as your traffic. And you are going to look at a trusted and authoritative source of content within the niche. So on to the next one. So this one, beer brewing one. This is called Empirical Brewing, 13 years old, 286 referring domains, and it has a DR37. So really nice DR to be starting with for this one. So it was created back in 2011, again, to just really advertise and promote the physical brewery that was based in Chicago. As all breweries do, offer a variety of homemade beers, lagers, organise their own brewery events. And they really took pride in exploring the science behind beer and creating high quality beers, beverages, and all stuff like that for their visitors too. This is what the site looked like when it was live. Again, really plain, really simple. Just there to advertise the actual physical space. And that's exactly what it was doing. So backlink profile, as I mentioned, 286 referring domains. Really awesome referring domains here. So we have untapped.com, thrillist.com, Paste Magazine, Chicago Business, Chicago Reader. Again, really there with our local backlinks. Beer Advocate, Beer Menus, Chicagoist, The Wildest. So really nice and strong backlink profile for this one.
Yeah, that timeout one as well is massive. They've got some good links.
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
They really do. It's impressive.
they do, definitely.
So again, with anchor text, very similar to the HTML we just went through. Because there's a physical space, we want to be looking at all branded anchor text, stuff that really just sits the flows naturally within the content. So as you can see here, pretty 90% of this is branded. So it's just Empirical Brewery all the way down pretty much. You've got your odd naked anchor text or whatever with the URL link. Other than that, we have our branded, which is exactly what we like to see when we do look at age domains that did have a physical space. Again, with our best by links, 207 of those referring domains are shooting straight to the homepage. Exactly what we like to see, the most powerful page within the site, and we could potentially look at redirecting or recreating some of these pages depending on the type of referring domains that are linking to these. If they have really good high authority, high DR, niche relevant or whatever, we will look at trying to keep these within the relaunch of this site for you. So again, our strategy for this one, we're literally just going to be covering anything and everything you can think of when it comes to brewing, home brewing, all different types of tips. Then we can go into what food pairs well with beers, beer types, the ingredients, and then really zoning in on listicle types of articles, breweries in X amount of cities. Again, we'll be starting with best breweries in Chicago for this one, since that really helps with to keep in those local authoritative backlinks, and then we can go on to different states, different cities, loads and loads of listicles that can be had with this one. And again, so we have a really low competitor, beveragebeaver.com, DR 1.2, but it does have 10.7k of organic traffic. When we look at these, this one is lower, but DR 1.2 and over 10k of organic traffic. That might not look like a lot to the other competitors we look at, but with a DR 1.2 and it's gaining that amount of traffic, that DR to traffic ratio is incredible. So definitely look at Tomb Raider in this one. Again, 197 pages of content, the exact type of stuff that we are going to be looking at implementing within our strategy as well. So really, really interesting competitor for that one. And now, again, we have our biggie. We really like to show you from one end to the other of the spectrum within these age domain teardowns. So we have craftbeer.com, DR75, 327k of organic monthly traffic, and it has over 5,000 pages of content. So again, an absolutely insane example of the opportunities available within the beer niche. And you look at over 5,000 pages of content. That really is doable on a site. You know, there's so much content and things you can go through, especially with the strategy and stuff we put in place. You have all your listicles and stuff like that. Huge amount of content. So definitely something that this age domain could reach as well. So again, what makes these competitors stand out? Own imagery, subscription prompts, frequent content, and they even have educational programs on how to brew your own beer, which is really awesome. Exactly the type of stuff that we could also help with. But yeah, really great competitors. Own imagery, subscription prompts, and frequent content. Those are the three main things that are really important when looking at competitors as well, because you're so easily to implement within your own site. So really make sure that you are doing this to stand out. And again, revenue opportunities, exactly the same as the other age domain. It's just a completely different niche. So you have your display ads, your affiliate programs. These two come part and parcel with any niche. Your newsletters, very easily done within the beer brewing niche. Your own courses, so like they have their own educational programs, how to home brew your beer, all stuff like that. So that's definitely relevant within this one. And you have your products. You have loads and loads of different products that you could implement within your site, as well as then diversifying your traffic again with your Google socials, your emails, newsletters, or stuff like that. And then really optimizing keeping that content frequent, and we can help you with link building as well. So really awesome opportunities for both of these niches today. They are live on our site if you want to go and take a look, a bit more information about them. But if they do tickle your fancy anyway, give us a message, pop us an email or wherever, and we and our sales team can help you.
Yeah, and it's actually really interesting, Lois, because Gary's popped up and he was actually asking me a question, but really applies to the two you've launched. So Gary
Awesome.
said, I have a question about domains, and we'll both answer this because there might be different well, not opinions, but there's different ways you can do it. So are localized domains better to be used? I.e., if you're going after US, get a .com. And then Gary said, as in I want to start promoting the US as a UK business. Should I buy a .coms? So from a link building perspective, so really nicely ties into the sites Lois has been talking about. So we've got a massive US chef website .com, but we found there's a real appetite, that wasn't a pun, for campaigns in the UK, and it's topically relevant. So we've built the client loads of links on tier one press. You know, we've got the Sun, the Express, the Daily Mail, all that type of thing, while still building US links as well. And the site has just gone like that, like turning over like upwards of 100k a month. And a lot of it can be attributed to the 100 or so links we've built across two campaigns. And it's really interesting that it is a .com. I think it's different if you're promoting products. So I think if it's just an informational site and it's all just about topical relevance, I mean, it makes sense to have a .com for a US site and a .co.uk for UK. But ultimately, as long as it's topically relevant, like I've had clients like a eyelash client that's a .ca Canada, they've been featured in kind of the Daily Mail and that as well. I think if it's topical relevance, just for an informational site, it doesn't matter as much. If you are promoting products, then it matters more to have a localized one. But I mean, Lewis, what's your thoughts? Oh, it makes sense to have a localized one,
Mhm.
but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
it doesn't really impact the digital PR aspect anyway. It
Mhm.
might in terms of
No.
local SEO and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think when I don't know. I think times have definitely changed in regards to if you look at a .com or a .co.uk or whatever site, like you have your .orgs, obviously, you look at them, you think, okay, they're going to be really educational, informative, or stuff like that. I they still are, but I definitely think that just because there's so many sites now, I don't think it really matters. I think obviously if you really are looking at targeting a specific country, say you are trying to target US, I would definitely go with .com just because they're probably going to think, oh, okay, one, if you're trying to promote a product, one, shipping, are they going to be able to
Mm,
ship within the US or whatever? They might just think of co.uk. No, I'm not going to bother paying for shipping or whatever. Obviously, they don't cater to my country and stuff. But it really does. It is down to preference. I would say sticking with .com just because you do have that. You just have a little bit more visibility, I think, than a .co.uk. Obviously, if you are just targeting in .co.uk and you do have a product or whatever, stick with that. But like I say, if you are informative and you just want to get some content out there, really not promoting anything really, just say you have a certain niche or whatever that you just want to write a load of content for, no affiliates or whatever. What honestly, it does not matter what .com, .co.uk, .ca, .org, .net, wherever. But yeah, it really does. I would definitely, I agree. Definitely depends on what you are trying to
yeah.
get out there and stuff. But yeah, if it's a product, .com, if you are trying to base in the US, obviously UK.co.uk, but anything like that, honestly, I really don't think it matters as much anymore.
Nah, I agree. I think that it's changed a bit, hasn't it? Like a few years ago, before this topical
Yes.
relevance and
Hmm.
eat was around, people were like, "Oh, you can only build links from .co.uk's to
Yeah.
.co.uk's." But now it's more about if they're talking about it and you can add value to that
Yeah.
and authority and trust and relevancy, then
Hmm.
it doesn't really matter as much as long as they know that it's legit.
Yeah. I
So yeah,
agree.
Gary, yeah, Gary says thanks. I
No
definitely,
problem.
it's down to you, but me and
Hmm.
Lewis would if you were to pin us up and say, "What would you do?" We'd say, "Go local," but
Hmm.
it totally depends on what you want from your website.
Yeah.
If you just want some digital PR links, you can have a dot whatever, it's still gonna drive performance, but ultimately,
Hmm.
if you are selling products, it makes sense to have a
Yeah.
localized one, and it's not gonna do you no harm, you can still build links like that, so, yeah, definitely worth having a localized one, but the reliance on it's dropped over the last few years.
Hmm. Yeah. Completely.
What else have we got? Luke's just popped in. There's a link in the description if you'd like to browse the Age domains and digital PR, Luke. Come on. Not
All
playing
of the
ball
stuff
here.
that we do.
Wait till we come off this live stream, Luke. I'm coming
Ah, Luke's
sliding
in
straight into your
trouble.
flat. No, but no, that's all, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. Lois had some wicked ones. Just on Lois's too as well. If you are interested, we've just had well food, and we had a home brew digital
Nice.
PR blog. And both of them have absolutely flew. So they're definitely good industries to buy
Hmm.
domains in. I'm not saying do digital
Definitely.
PR for them unless of course you want to, but they do fly. So it's definitely worth having a look. But yeah,
Definitely.
I guess we'll see you next time, Lois. I think we're on again in a few weeks, no doubt.
We
So
are.
yeah, I'll see you
Yeah.
then.
I'm on
And
every week, so I'll see ya.
enjoy your trip to Poland. Hope you have a
Thank
bella.
you. Thank you. I hope you feel better as the weekend goes on.
I feel better just after doing this live stream.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
All right then. Well, thanks
Bye,
everyone for tuning
guys.
in. And if anyone wants any questions answering or anything like that, reach out to me or Lois on any type of platform, and we'll be around. All right.
Thanks, guys.